What's going on there, YouTube? Back from USTE 19, the Ultimate Scale Truck Expo, Williston, Florida. And if you haven't seen the highlight video yet, go and check it out. It was an awesome event. Very well organized. The trails were amazing. And I broke a lot of things. Some of it serious, some of it not so serious. So, yeah, we'll start just kind of running down over the rigs, what all happened. So the vintage buggy racing. I got my vintage, to me, a Rough Rider. Apparently I misunderstood the rules. I thought it had to actually be a vintage buggy, not a re-release and not a modern electronics. So I went the pure route. I've got the original can motor, an old servo on this thing. And it would have been fine, but I didn't, it didn't account for the steering problem. So the course that they raced on was very tight, and the guys who had brushless stuff, they were all over the place. But even this little stock can motor, this thing was just walking the back end around. The sand was super soft. The paddle tires were a good choice, but this thing was all over the place. And I think it was about the third turn on my first lap, and I clipped the wall, and my tie rods, not sure if you can see that there, they just pop right off. Those are the original Tamiya small 2.5 mil ball sockets that are plastic and brittle. And yeah, once I think it was Brooks Kellett found the missing tie rod in the sand for me, put it back on, I pulled out, hit the wall again, and it popped off. Luckily we didn't lose it. They just kept popping off the outside edges, either side. So yeah, I think I maybe got 4 or 5 careful laps around it. One really good picture of it ripping through the sand, but yeah, everybody else was getting 12, 13 laps. But it was a blast, and I know more what to expect. I also realized as soon as I hit the gas off the starting line, I haven't raced anything like this in 20 years. I was not prepared. I forgot everything that I ever had known, and never really driving this rig before. I had no clue what to expect, but it was a blast. And that's an easy fix. You know, we can either upgrade or replace the ball ends, hope they hold, or we can swap them out for a different kind of joint altogether. And this rig's not going anywhere. I love it. It was a big hit. Everybody loves the actual original stuff, and everybody at the show seemed to like it. So yeah, I'm going to keep this thing around, keep working on it. It'll be a long-term project again. But really fun stuff out there. Next up, my poor sand scorcher didn't even get driven. And I think it was Saturday, it was day 2, and I set it on my table, and I turned around and was unboxing rat rods, and it rolled off the table. Even with the motor in it, it's very easily rolled. Table was leaning, landed square on the roof, and now it is cracked. See a little bit on this side, the rust is cracking up. Not sure if it actually cracked the plastic on this side. Oh, it did break the handle off, but this side, oh man, this is even coming apart. Oh no, it's not, never mind. This side is cracked clean through. The handle's kind of holding it together right now. You can see the crack. So we've got to do some repair on it, which it's not that big of a deal. It just sucks because I mean I wasn't even driving it. This thing's such a blast to drive, and I didn't have enough electronics to get in everything, so yeah, that's going to need some work. But yeah, that's not all that's broken. Let me grab some more. So my good old trusty, fully linked, built Trailfinder 2 was doing pretty good. I was having a good time out on the trails with it. Took a couple little falls. One of the mirrors got ripped off and lost. Other than some missing paint on the roll bar and some chips that need to be rusted over, it did excellent. The chassis and everything, spot on. Everything except the tires. These are the 155 Mickey Thompson Baja Claws from RC 4-wheel drive with the original foams in them. And this truck has sat like this for well over a year, I'm sure, probably closer to 2. And it looked great. I leave it on jack stands in the shop or hanging on hooks because those tires will flat spot. And the trails at USTE were so long and so varied. The terrain was all over the place. I wore the foams out. There wasn't much left of them, but this was the worst of it. I mean, there's just absolutely, the only thing keeping that from sitting on the wheel is the air trapped inside the beadlock. That foam is completely disintegrated. That one's okay, but it took a good beating. And I had some issues with my body mounts. See, I've got some scratches and stuff all over the body. But yeah, the tire foams are completely gone. And I thought about maybe changing the tires and wheels on it. But I really like these tires. They just need some new foam. So I'm going to have to do some digging around and see what I can find for foams to fill up. Because these are a massive tire. And a lot of the trails out there had a lot of side hill. And it was just completely useless. I mean, it was just completely folded over. And yeah. But other than that, other than the body not wanting to stay on after a couple good falls, drivetrain and everything worked great. This is just basic stuff. RC four-wheel drive can motor. I don't think anything's actually loose. The shocks still feel pretty good. All around, this is still one of my top trucks. I love it. And yeah, just I let it down on the tires. So next up, my good old trusty body on my new, pretty much bone stock Trailfinder 2. This truck I drove Friday with the 4Runner body. This was the one that I had built for this body because this body didn't have a chassis. Some of you guys sent in some stock parts for me, shocks and drive shafts and a servo and all that. And then we did the big body release with RC 4-wheel drive on the 4Runner, and I needed a chassis, so I borrowed it. But I think it was Sunday, I swapped this body back on there because I didn't want to, after driving Saturday and beating up my red truck, I'm not ready to beat up the 4Runner too much yet. So I took this bad boy out and had a pretty good time. It's limited because it is pretty much bone stock. Leaf springs, the whole 9 yards, the narrower offset. But tires are firm, did good on the side hills. The only hang-ups were the actual hang-ups. So, like all Trailfinder 2s, this curse of the giant boat anchor hanging down on the bottom. And, yeah. So we are going to do some work on that. The body's fine. You know, it's got some scratches that we'll have to rust over just to fix, just to clean it up. But I'm not worried about any of that. Ran great. And now it's got the tailpipe that we made for the 4Runner. It's on that chassis, so fits the Hilux just as well. And looks the part. But this truck we're going to do some upgrades to. Got some new friends at Bauhaus RC. And they were out at USTE. I talked to them a lot about some things, and yeah. So we've got a new skid plate for that, which ironically, I didn't know. I've had that 3D printed skid plate on the red truck for 4 or 5 years. That chassis, since I first built it, long before I had the YouTube channel, and that is their skid plate. That was back before they started printing and selling stuff and all that. It was just, they kind of worked up a prototype and they had it for selling Shapeways, and I found it on Shapeways and bought it, and it has been great, and it's 3D printed, and it has not given me any issues ever over the course of 4 or 5 years. So I'm excited to do some more stuff with their products and to make this truck a little bit more capable. There's one trail on I think it was Trail 1 out at USTE, and it was just the big mound, and it was like a mountain. You had to climb and had switchbacks up and down the sides of it. And there was one steep route. It was the more serious route. Sometimes they had a split for, say, dollhouse trucks this way and regular crawlers the other way. And it was the harder trail, and it just, I could walk right up it, but that kept hanging on the center because it had ruts and everything. That's how detailed these trails were out there. They actually made ruts. So like where the trail would go between obstacles, and you'd kind of, you might get lost. There looked like tire marks. It looked like a trail through a field where somebody drives out to a barn or something. I mean, that's how involved this stuff was, and the bridges and all kinds of stuff. You got to check out the video, and better yet, just come out next year, because it was a lot of fun. So that's not all I broke. So let's see what's next. I think it was day 2. Or 3. I don't remember. It all blurred together into one big giant fun event, but I took the Banggood Bronco out, the TFL Racing Bronco crawler kit, and it was a little boring. It's so capable, and it was just kind of, you know, some of the, I guess the trail we were on was geared more towards dollhouse trucks, and this thing's just walking over everything, and it's just loud and noisy and boring. The issue I had with it, other than I lost a D-ring for the front, these are basically just all aluminum SEX 10-1 axles. That's pretty much what that is. It's the same size, the same giant pumpkin, and it was hanging on everything. And that was, again, and this one's got good skid plate clearance, but the axle diffs were so big it was getting caught up on everything. And but yeah, other than that, it was running good until something died inside. This body is a pain in the butt to remove. You've got to take all these little screws with nuts on the back and pull the fiberglass body off. And it rolled a few times. My windshield, one of the pieces up here, is gone. I don't know what happened to it. Windshields are very thin aluminum. But it started grinding, and it would kind of move, and then it wouldn't move, and it would kind of move. But I think we've lost some gears in the transmission. And this does have a transfer case skid, transmission and motor mounted up front. It's even got a fiberglass, looks like a LS engine cover, but you can't see it, and it makes it extremely difficult to get to. So that's in line for a full teardown, so we can see what we've done to the transmission. Honestly, it's not really my thing out there. It just wasn't working. So I've been kind of brainstorming what else to do with this thing, and I thought maybe it might make a good mud truck. Maybe some Wraith axles and some tractor tires and stuff like that. So I don't know. We just got to see. That would require changing transmissions, obviously, because it is geared pretty low. But I've got really good electronics in here. I've got a Holmes Hobby TorqueMaster Pro motor. I don't remember what turn it is, but got a nice Axial AE2 speed controller. You know, it was well set up, and yeah, never had any issues with it before. And then out there about, I'd say about 45 minutes into a 2-hour trail, just started grinding gears. But other than a few little scratches and chips on the corners and stuff like that, it was going good. But we probably have ruined transmission gears. So I'm not sure. Let me know what y'all think about that one, what you would want to see done with it, or if you don't want to see it at all anymore. I'm open to suggestions, because I don't know what to do. I thought maybe even making a 2.2 crawler, but we're still going to have the gear issue. But I don't know. 1.9s, it was kind of struggling getting over its own axle. So maybe a 2.2 tire on there would be better, or something completely different. But anyway, that's still not all I've broken. So luckily the rat rod ramp truck did not get damaged. It pretty much just sat on the table front and center in the booth and got aired up and down a whole lot. Anybody would walk up, I'd show them. Tried to keep a battery pack in there until the last day. I needed more packs to run on the trails, so didn't get to do it on Sunday. But Friday and Saturday I put the air compressor through its paces, and still works good. I got scared because I actually ran a pack down on Friday, and I thought maybe I'd messed something up. Then I got back to the hotel, I had to bring it in and swap it out and make sure it was still working, which it was. But it was pretty cool. Everybody that came out to see the hot rods, you know, we start talking, and we end up talking about real cars, and you know, everybody that's into this stuff seemed like we're pretty like-minded as far as automobiles go. So it was pretty cool. It was neat to meet everybody that came out and talk shop with them. But yeah, ramp truck's good to go. 4Runner, I drove it on that other chassis, and it actually is really, really good on that. The stock TF2 leaf springs and stuff carry the weight of this perfectly, and I think it actually performs a little better with the extra weight of the 4Runner body as opposed to the Hilux. But yeah, it did have a few little bumps and bruises. This side looks pretty clean. I'm not sure if they're coming out in camera, but I've got some circles on the top from my GoPro mount. I really wanted to put, I mean, it was the first thing I did. I got there on, the first time I hit a trail on Friday, and went out with Jason and Wes and I can't remember the name. I'm so bad with names. I'm sorry. We went out on the trail, and I just used a GoPro windshield mount, suction mount to the top of that body. It was pretty good. The paint was actually smooth enough, and it stuck right to it. Just left some dirt rings, and got a few scratches. There's a little chip there. Just dirty all around, but it's got some scuffs on the hood. This side, I lost one of my emblems. Dang it. That I was having a problem getting those to stick. I just don't have the right kind of glue. I needed to use something a little thicker than I did. So I lost one of my 400 badges. This part of the door here is scraped up pretty good. And I've got some pretty deep gouges here on the back corner of the hardtop, as well as some scuffs on the top. But yeah, she did end up on her roof a few times, but fared pretty well. The doors and everything held up fine. And yeah. But I've got another chassis in mind for this thing, so stay tuned to see that. A little noteworthy thing. Apparently, I didn't know about all this, but the guys at JS Scale make USTE plates every year, specific for the year. So I picked up one of those. They sell them out there. They're actually embossed, so you can feel the letters on it. It's pretty cool. I think I may put this on the back of the 4Runner, since it has a perfect spot for a plate and doesn't have one. But it's got a Florida plate. It says USTE 19, and even the sticker in the corner is 219. So you know it was in February. It was really cool. They apparently sold out the year before, so they made some extras this year. Luckily, I was able to get one, and to kind of commemorate my first outing. Good old number 3, do it for Dale. Number 3 rat rod set for Friday, just on the table, and then I forgot it had a battery in it. An old stick pack, RC 4-wheel drive, like 3500 stick pack, and yeah, I hadn't charged it since I did the videos on getting it running again, and it worked. I drove it around some Saturday around the vendor area, set it on some displays, and the air suspension, or the servo suspension, worked perfectly the entire time. It doesn't have any blazing speed, but it runs and drives and functions, and it was nice to kind of take around the show and share with people. Really, for the future of this thing, I don't know. This one's done. It's perfectly imperfect. I like it the way it is, and yeah, just keep getting dirt on it and letting it get better with age. So I wasn't comfortable bringing the body for the number 1 rat rod build. If you remember, it has, if I can get over there to it, it's got a cast aluminum windshield. It's got this actual cast aluminum windshield, and it is very, very brittle. It bends and gets damaged very easily. When I bought it off of eBay and it got here, it was all distorted, and I worked for almost a week trying to get it back into shape without breaking it, because it is so fragile. So I have to just take the chassis to kind of show off my suspension engineering and stuff, and yeah, it didn't run or anything, but in and out of the storage tote that I had the rat rods so safely packed in, I ended up breaking my shifter clean off. Remember, I have a big curved chrome shifter with a skull on it. I still have it, but I broke it off at the base, so we're going to have to pull that apart. And I might have another one of those shifters. I've got a big box of parts for those model cars. But yeah, that was kind of, I think that was Saturday evening. I was putting it in the car, and it just clipped the edge of the lid. It just snapped right off. And I was just, yeah, it was disheartening, but we can fix it. The good old farm truck, it did not get driven, but it did get a little damage just in the transit. Probably on the ride home, because it was fine when I packed it up Sunday. Louisiana, y'all need to work on y'all's roads, because that was bad. I went a different route home, since I went a little along the coast, and I came up through Baton Rouge, and there were some spots between Baton Rouge and Shreveport that didn't do my tailbone any favors either. And this one was packed in the bottom of the case, and I have pillows and stuff, but my rod, the rod inside of this for the rear axle is bent. My axle's kind of cocked over to the side a little bit. When you push down on it, you can see it's in a bind, and I need to redo that anyway because it's kind of janky here. It's got spacers and a rod end spacer and a shock in the rod end, so it's putting a lot of pressure on there with the suspension riding on that little M3 rod connector. So just little things. I need some longer M3 rod like that I can screw further into that back rod end. It probably would help too to go to a metal rod end on the back. It's just, when I do these kind of suspensions, it's all about the length. I'm trying to get a certain stance, or I need like that. I needed the shock where it was. I couldn't move it forward. I didn't have a longer rod end. It's all just trying to make stuff work and jive together. But it's one of those things that I need to come up with my own solution for. I may have to get some long M3 screws and just cut the heads off and tap them into a new rod end and go from there. But another little repair we've got to make. But overall, this is my fastest rat rod, and it has the best suspension of all my rat rods so far. And I was wishing I had it driving, because that would have been a fun one to rip around the vendor area a little bit and show off. But yeah, maybe next year we can have that one running and driving and ready to go. And yeah, I will be going back next year, because that was too much fun. But yeah, let's check on number 2. Good old showstopper. My best work ever. This is going to be forever my challenge, is to top this one. It's just still the best that I've ever dreamed up. And I guess it was just beginner's luck. It's my second go, my first real go at making something completely from scratch. And yeah, no damage. It's in good shape. I had in the box, one of the tires, they're not glued to the bead locks. That came off, but just slid it right back on. Those bead-lock rings that come on these wheels don't hold very well, so they'll just pop right on and off. I mean, the semis aren't designed to go fast anyway, so. But yeah, this truck just looks mean. But yeah, everything's still there. My license plate's still dangling off the back. Suspension and everything's still holding up. Tried and true. And I think all I have left is my new rat rod build, and I know it got broke. This guy got some scratches. I don't know from what. But got some nicks into the body. This was the resin cast body, so it shows white underneath. Feels like my body mount's got knocked around a little bit in the back as well. The front is a magnet body mount. But the big thing was one of the headers is broke. Now I did only have these on temporarily because we're still not near complete on this build. I had one screw in each end, and again, taking it in and out. This was in the bottom of the storage bin, and I reached in there and grabbed it, and I just grazed the header and I heard it crack. But luckily, when we come up with these headers with RC 4-wheel drive for the giveaway build, they sent me several sets of prototypes of them. So even if that one will probably be used just fine, because we've still got 4 more screws plus the 2 in it already to hold it on, and you're not going to be able to see it, so it should be fine. But yeah, I've got some spares in case I need that, and if not, those are available on RC 4-wheel drive Shapeways store now as well, in case you're looking for some headers for your V8. But yeah, I've got a lot to do before I can get back to this build. Like I mentioned in some of my Facebook Live stuff, I am going to start redoing the scale garage. And I am going to start redoing the scale garage. I've got all the stuff for the walls, and I still haven't decided on the floor yet what I want to do for the shop floor. I would like to do real concrete. Only problem with that is I may never be able to get it out of this room in one piece. And well, I'm not planning on moving right now or selling my house anytime soon. It might, I mean, it's on the it's on a list of possibilities, so I don't want to build something too amazing and then not be able to take it with me, you know. Right now it would be hard enough to get this out of here as is, so I'm going to try to design it where it can come at least into some manageable pieces. But we are going to go a lot more scale, and I want to make the walls taller, I'm going to make 3 walls instead of just 2, and I'm going to have some better lighting, and it's, yeah. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to just find another piece of wood and do a gray floor like this, or I'm actually going to pour concrete. It would be cool. It would be a giant undertaking though. So keep it scale, and I'll see y'all in the next one.